according to the first provision of the Egyptian commercial law, the mentioned law is imposed into number one, all the act of merchants and also to all the physical person or legal status that acquires the quality of merchant. So logically, we will begin with the commercial act or the act of merchant. The commercial act are some economic activities mentioned by the legislator in the law number 17 of 1999 related to trade in Egypt, and they are divided into number one, the commercial act by nature, number two, the formal commercial act, number three, the accessories commercial act, and the hybrid commercial act. We mentioned that the Egyptian commercial law stipulates that for the purpose of the present law, its provisions shall apply to all commercial acts or to any person or legal status who acquires the quality of merchant. So according to this provision, the commercial act is imposed to number one, the acts of merchant, number two, the traders, whether they are individuals or legal status. So we will begin by the commercial act, then we will treat the traders. The commercial acts are divided to four groups. The first is the act of merchant by nature. The second is the formal commercial act. The third is the accessories commercial act, and at last the mixed or the hybrid commercial act. The commercial act by nature are defined as all the economic activities mentioned by the legislature in Article 4, 5, and 6 of the Egyptian commercial law, and they are ruled by the mentioned law. The commercial act by nature are divided into number one, the Unilateral Commercial Act, and number two, the Professional Commercial Act. We will treat first the Unilateral Commercial Act, then we will treat the Professional Commercial Act. The enumeration of the Commercial Act in the Egyptian commercial law was indicated by the legislator as examples for the economic activities ruled by this law, not as a limitary list. The legislator assured this meaning in Article 7 of the Egyptian commercial law by providing that shall be considered as an act of merchant every act that can be assimilated to the commercial acts mentioned in Article 4, 5, and 6 in the characteristic or in the aim of the activity. The Unilateral Commercial Act are some commercial activities ruled by the Egyptian commercial law and mentioned by the legislature in Article 4 and 6. They are deemed to be commercial even if they were practiced for only one time. On the contrary, we will explain that the Professional Commercial Act are not ruled by the Egyptian commercial law unless they are practiced in a continuous and repetitive way through an enterprise. As we mentioned, the Unilateral Commercial Act are stated by the legislature in Article 4, 5, and 6 of the law number 17 of 1999 related to trade in Egypt. Article 4 treats number 1, the buying of movers for the reason of sale, number 2, the renting of movers in order to re-rent it, and at last, the procedures of foundation of companies in Egypt. Article number 6 treats all the acts concerning the commercial navigation in Egypt. We will begin by Article 4, Paragraph A, related to the operation of buying for the reason of sale in Egypt. The operation of buying for the reason of sale is ruled by the Egyptian commercial law, even in case of practicing it for only one time, when the operation fulfills four conditions. The first condition, there must be an operation or a contract of purchase. Number 2, the subject of the contract or the object of the contract must be a movable property, whether this movable property was tangible or non-tangible. The third condition is that there must exist an intention of selling at the time of buying. And the last condition is the intention of realization of profit from this operation. We must indicate that, according to this article, we will eliminate the operation of agriculture, the liberal profession, and the intellectual property from the first condition. Article 4, paragraph B treats the operation of renting for the purpose of peace concerning the movers. In order to be ruled by the Egyptian commercial law, the operation of the act must fulfill four conditions. The first condition, there must be a contract of rent. Number 2, the object of the contract must be a movable property. Number 3, the intention of pre-renting the movable at the time of renting it. And at last, the intention of making profit from this transaction or this operation. The enumeration of the commercial act in the Egyptian commercial law was indicated by the legislator as examples for the economic activities ruled by this law, not as a limitary list. The legislator assured this meaning in Article 7 of the Egyptian commercial law by providing that shall be considered as an act of merchant every act that can be assimilated to the commercial acts mentioned in Article 4, 5, and 6 in the characteristic or in the aim of the activity. We will mention an example or an applied case related to the procedures of establishment of companies in Egypt. This case is related to the forming of a limited partnership. We must first indicate the fact, then the legal rule, and at last the application. In the fact, we will mention that there is a conclusion of a contract of a limited partnership, or simply taking a procedure related to the foundation of a limited partnership company in Egypt. Then in the legal rule, we will mention Article 4, paragraph C, that according to Article 4, paragraph C of the law number 17 of the year 1999 related to trade in Egypt, are deemed to be commercial all the operations related to the procedures of establishment of companies in Egypt, even if they were practiced for only one time, and whatever was the object of the company itself, whether it is a civil company or a commercial company. In the application, simply we will mention that the persons here are taking a procedure of making a company, whether the making the contract or the matriculation in the register of commerce, for example. So simply you will mention that this case is ruled by Article 4 due to the existing of a procedures of foundation of company in Egypt. As we said before, the Unilateral Commercial Act are divided into number 1, Article 4, and number 2, Article 6, related to the operation of commercial navigation in Egypt. According to Article 6 of the Egyptian commercial law, are considered commercial act all the operation of the contract concerning commercial navigation, whether it was marine or air navigation, and especially the building and maintenance and reparation of ships and aircraft in Egypt. Number 2, the buying, selling, or renting of ships and planes in Egypt. Number 3, the buying of equipment and material for supply of the ship and plane in Egypt. Number 4, the transportation of persons and goods through the air or the sea. Number 5, the operation of freight and cargo related to the goods, the transportation of goods or merchandise. Number 6, the hiring of the crew and the employee working in the ship or the airplane. We'll explain some applied cases in order to understand Article 4 and 6. In this case, banding of an author, he is banding his novel to a publisher, which is Dar al-Shuruq. We must mention, as I told you before, the fact. Then after the fact, we will mention the legal rules related to this case, and at last the application, which is the localization of the legal rule on the facts in order to understand whether this case is ruled by the Egyptian commercial law or the civil Egyptian law. In the fact, we will mention that there is a contract between two parties, first the author and the second party is the publisher. In the legal rule, we will mention that according to Article 4, paragraph A, are deemed to be commercial all the operation of buying for the reason of sale when the case fulfills four conditions, and we will mention briefly the four conditions. So, the first condition, or number one, there must be a contract of purchase. Number two, the object of the contract must be a movable property. Number three, the intention of selling at the time of buying. And the fourth condition, or the condition number four, the intention of realization of profit. In the application, simply we will mention that according to the Egyptian commercial law are eliminated from the field of application of the mentioned law all the facts related to the exercising of intellectual properties, the agriculture, and also the liberal profession. So this case will be out of the domain of the application of the Egyptian commercial law due to the lack of the first condition. This case is related to Article 6, which is the operation of arranging goods in Port of Alexandria in order to transport it. We will mention, as I said before, the fact, then the legal rule, and at last the application. The fact, simply it is a contract between two parties, the person who owns the good and the person who is making the operation of arranging it in the port. Number two, the legal rule, we will mention that according to Article 6 are deemed to be commercial all the operation of commercial navigation, even if they were practiced for only one time, and especially the operation of freight and cargo, or of freight and cargo. In the application, we will mention that the arranging of goods in port cannot be qualified as an operation of freight, neither as an operation of cargo, so it will be out of the domain of application of the Egyptian commercial law, and it will be ruled by the Egyptian civil law as a rule. This case is related to the operation of buying for the reason of sale. A person who bought some equipment, then he made an industrial design and he then did to a corporation working in the field of the car industry. So we first mention in the fact that there is a contract between two persons. First, the designer, and the second party is the corporation itself. B will mention the legal rule, and we will indicate Article 4, paragraph A, with the four conditions that must be fulfilled. First condition, an operation of purchase. Number two, the subject of the contract must be a movable property, and I want to focus here that the object of the contract is non-tangible movable property, because it is related to the intellectual property. Number three, that the purchaser must have the intention of vending the movable property at the time of buying it, and at last the intention of gain or the intention of realization of profit from this operation. In the application, we will indicate that this case is out of the domain of the application of the commercial law due to the lack of the first condition, because simply the designer himself was a party in the contract. In this case, we will find that the four conditions are fulfilled, because simply there is a person who purchased a pattern of invention from the inventor himself, then he resell it to a firm or a corporation working in any field. So the four conditions are fulfilled, and simply in the application we will mention that this condition, this case is ruled by the Egyptian commercial law due to the fulfillment of the four conditions. The person first, he bought the pattern of invention from the creator, so the first condition is fulfilled. He bought a non-tangible movable property. Number 3, with the intention of reselling, and number 4, with the intention of realization of profit. So the case or the contract will be ruled by the Egyptian commercial law in his Article 4, paragraph A. In this case, there is a person who practiced two economic activities related to each other. So the problem is, or the dilemma is, to determine what is the legal system that will govern both of the economic activities, whether it is the commercial law or the civil law. So simply we must determine the essential economic activity practiced by this person. In the legal rule, we will mention simply that, in the fact, we will mention that a person who practiced two economic activities related to each other. In the legal rule, we will mention that according to Article 4, paragraph A, are deemed to be commercial all the operation of buying for the reason of sale. This is the first legal rule. The second legal rule, we must indicate that according to the Egyptian commercial law, are deemed to be a civil act, all the operation related to the agriculture. The third legal rule is that we must indicate that according to the Egyptian law, in case of conflict between two legal systems governing two economic activities, the legal system of the main economic activity will englobe the legal system of the secondary economic activity. In the application, simply we will determine first what is the main activity. Here it is obvious that the main activity is the agriculture. So the civil law will govern or will rule both of the economic activity, the agriculture and the operation of buying for the reason of sale, because the agriculture is the essential activity. We will explain some applied cases in order to understand Article 4 and 6. In this case, vending of an author, he is vending his novel to a publisher, which is Dar al-Shuruq. We must mention, as I told you before, the fact. Then after the fact, we will mention the legal rules related to this case, and at last the application, which is the localization of the legal rule on the facts, in order to understand whether this case is ruled by the Egyptian commercial law or the civil Egyptian law. In the fact, we will mention that there is a contract between two parties, first the author and the second party is the publisher. In the legal rule, we will mention that according to Article 4, paragraph A, are deemed to be commercial all the operation of buying for the reason of sale when the case fulfills four conditions, and we will mention briefly the four conditions. So the first condition, or number 1, there must be a contract of purchase. Number 2, the object of the contract must be a movable property. Number 3, the intention of selling at the time of buying. And the fourth condition, or the condition number 4, the intention of realization of profit. In the application, simply we will mention that according to this case is related to the commercial navigation, and we must confirm that in case of the non-existence of the intention of realization of profit, even if the legal rule was fulfilled by the case will be out of the domain of application of the legal rule due to the lack of the intention of realization of profit. In this case, the Commercial Marine Academy built a ship that for the purpose of scientific research or for the purpose of education, so the intention of realization of profit doesn't exist. So simply in the application, we will mention that although there is an operation of building of a ship related to Article 6 of the Egyptian Commercial Law and deemed to be a unilateral commercial act. However, there is no existence of the intention of realization of profit, so the case will be out of the domain of the Egyptian commercial law and will be ruled by the civil law. As we mentioned before, the Commercial Act by nature, which is the first division of the theory of commercial act in Egypt, is divided into, number one, the Unilateral Commercial Act governed by Article 4 and 6, and the Professional Commercial Act ruled by Article 5 of the Egyptian Commercial Law. Article 5 treats all the acts mentioned by the legislator in this article and fulfilled or exercised by an individual or a legal status in a professional way. So we must first indicate the meaning of professionalism. In order to understand the professionalism, we must distinguish between the sole trader and the company or the legal status. Concerning a sole trader, in order to be practicing one of the economic activities that we will explain after that, he must exercise them as a main way of earning his living. Concerning the enterprise of the company, there must be a financial and a managerial structure providing the market with a good or service in a repetitive and continuous way through a well-organized firm. What are the economic activities mentioned by the legislator in Article 5, and deemed to be commercial, and deemed to be commercial when they are practiced professionally? These economic activities are, number one, the supply of goods and services. Number two, the industry. Number three, the transportation by land or by rivers. Number four, the operation of commission agency, and the brokerage. Number five, the insurance operations. Number six, the banking operations and the foreign exchange operation. Number seven, the operation of deposit of goods and intermediary in the transportation. Number eight, the publishing, printing, photocopying, typing, translating, all the operation related to the broadcasting through radio and TV, press, and the press agency, the mail, the communication, and the advertising. Number nine, the operation of exploitation related to the programming and the satellite. Number 10, the operation of exploring for natural resources. Number 11, the raising of livestock. Number 12, the operation of contracting and modification or demolition of buildings in Egypt in a professional way. Number 13, the operation of buildings for the purpose of sale concerning the real estate when they are practiced in a professional way. Number 14, the tourism, exportation and importation. Number 15, all the enterprise working in the field of hotels, restaurants, coffee shops, acting, cinema, circus, and all the nightclubs. Number 16, the operation of distribution of water, gases and electricity in Egypt. And we must reaffirm the meaning of professionalism, that professionalism means exercising the economic activities in a repetitive and continuous way by an individual as a main way of earning his living, or by an enterprise, well-organized enterprise with a managerial and financial structure and providing the market continuously with a good or a service. The supply of goods is a contract similar to the contract of sale, but it is repetitive in time, which means that the obligations of the two parties are echeloned in time. So it is the presentation of goods in a repetitive way, periodically, in a fixed timing. For example, the supplying of medicine equipment to a determined hospital every month, or the supply of foods by an enterprise to a hotel every week. The contract for supply of a service is related to all the operation of maintenance when they are fulfilled by an enterprise to another enterprise or person in a repetitive way. Every month, every 3 months, every 6 months. For example, the contract of maintenance of electronic or electric equipment by an enterprise to another enterprise. The operation of supply of goods and service will be ruled by the Egyptian commercial law in case of practicing it professionally. We mentioned these examples before concerning the contract of supply of goods. We can mention the operation of supplying a hospital with medical equipment from another enterprise in a repetitive way every month, as I said before. Concerning the operation of or the contract of supply of service, we can mention the operation of maintenance of electronic equipments or of the electric equipments of a university, for example, by a determined firm every month. The second professional commercial act related to Article 5 is the industry. I will give you a simple definition for the industry. The industry is the transformation of raw material to semi-final or final products. The operation of industry are very simplified concerning the applied cases. For example, in this case, Benz Chrysler, in case of merging them, Benz and Chrysler for manufacturing cars. The fact is a huge enterprise working in the field, a multinational corporation, in fact, working in the field of the production of cars. In the legal rule, simply we will mention that according to Article 5, paragraph B, are deemed to be commercial all the operations related to industry when they are practiced professionally, and you will mention also the definition of the professionalism. In the application, we'll mention that this corporation is working in the field of production of cars in a repetitive and continuous way, so it will be ruled by the Egyptian commercial law. We mentioned that the banking operations and the foreign exchange operations are ruled by Article 5, paragraph F, when they are practiced professionally. And logically, this type of economic activities are practiced professionally. The bank, the enterprise working in the field of foreign exchange, the insurance, after that, they are economic activities fulfilled logically by an enterprise in a repetitive and continuous way. So they are professional commercial acts. We want here to indicate a very important point that concerning the bank and the insurance, they can be hybrid commercial act. Why? Because the bank is a trader, but on the other hand, the second party in the contract concluded with a bank can be a trader or can be a person ruled by the civil law. For example, if you deposit an amount of money in National Bank of Egypt, this contract from the side of the bank is governed by Article 5, but from your side, the side of the client, is governed by the civil law. In this case, the bank, Banque du Caire, it is the commercial name of the bank, provides a loan to allies for manufacturing steel, providing a loan for an enterprise working in the field of industry. So in the fact, I will mention that there is a contract of lending between two parties. One of them is a bank and the second is an enterprise working in the field of industry. In the legal rule, I will mention that according to Article 5, paragraph B and F are deemed to be commercial all the operation of banking and also the operation of industry when they are practiced professionally. In this case, the enterprise take a loan to invest or to finance his commercial purpose or his economic purpose. So this case will be ruled by the Egyptian commercial law from both sides, from the side of the bank according to Article 5, paragraph F, and from the side of the enterprise working in the field of industry according to Article 5, paragraph B, and according to Article 3 related to the operation of Accessories Commercial Act. This applies case related to the operation of insurance from the side of the assured party. So in the fact, we mentioned that there is a contract concluded between two parties, the corporation working in the field of insurance and the assured party. In the legal rule, we will mention Article 5, paragraph G, and in the application, we will mention that this contract is governed by Article 5 as a professional commercial act from the side of the company working in the field of insurance. From the side of the client or the assured party, we will distinguish between if the assured party was a person related to the civil law or was a merchant. If the assured party was a merchant and the contract of insurance was made for the purpose of his commercial transaction, the contract will be commercial from both sides. If the assured party was a person related to the civil law and he was, for example, making a contract of insurance related to his home, his car, so the contract from the side of the company will be ruled by the Egyptian commercial law, Article 5 as a professional commercial act, and from the side of the assured party will be ruled by the civil commercial law. So this is simply a professional hybrid commercial act, professional hybrid commercial act, or professional mixed commercial act. Commercial agency, commission agency, and brokerage were mentioned by the legislator in Article 5, paragraph D. They are deemed to be commercial when they are practiced through an enterprise or by individual working in this field as a main way of earning his living, which accomplishes the meaning of professionalism. The commercial agent is a person who affects the position of another person called the principal, which means that he is dealing, he is buying, selling, negotiating contracts on the name and behalf of the principal with a third party. So in this contract, we usually find three persons: the agent, the commercial agent, and number two, the principal, and number three, the third party. With him, the agent is making contract, commercial agent is making contract on the name and behalf of the principal. On the contrary, concerning the commission agent, you will find that the commission agent concludes the contract, negotiate and conclude the contract on his name and on behalf of the principal. So he appears in the contract as the principal with the third party. This case is related to the operation of press or of broadcasting, which means that it is related to Article 5 when they are practiced professionally. In the fact, we will mention that there is an enterprise working in the field of broadcasting or in the field of press through radio and TV. In the legal rule, we will mention that according to Article 5 are deemed to be commercial all the operation of printing, publishing, press, radio, TV, when they are practiced professionally, and we will mention the meaning of professional in the application. We will refer to that the enterprise is working in the field of broadcasting, so it will be ruled by the Egyptian commercial law as he is practicing these activities in a professional way.